All right, this is the concept development for lesson 14. What we're working on is building from yesterday's learning about changing and converting measurement. So yesterday we were going from big to small things. Now we're going from smaller units, days, to larger units, weeks. So from the application problem, we are using that information to be able to help us solve these problems. So 14 days is how many weeks exactly? So I want you to think about it like this. I already said that. 14 days is the same thing as 14 copies of one day, because there's 14 copies of one day. And copies, remember when we were doing expanded form of decimals and fractions, we use that phrase copies, and it means the same thing as times. So that's the same thing as 14 times one day. And we already know that one day is a fraction about exactly 1/7 of a week. So I'm basically taking this same information, 14 copies means times of one day, but I want it to be in weeks. So I'm doing 1/7, 14 times 1/7. I know we haven't done any multiplication of fractions yet, but here's our chance, and it's super easy. So all you do is you multiply straight across. And what I mean by that is, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is write my number 14 times, and I'm rewriting this because when my fraction is sideways like this, it's hard to see, so I want to write it up and down. So 14 times 1/7. Basically what I'm going to do is draw a line like this. And the reason why I can do that is because 14 is the same thing as 14 over 1. 14 divided by 1 equals 14. So there's nothing on the bottom I need to worry about. And then I just multiply straight across. So what's 14 times 1? And that would be 14. And then 1 or nothing times 7. 7 is just 7. So now I have this fraction, when we know that fractions are the same thing as division. So that's the same thing as saying 14 divided by 7, and I know 14 divided by 7 equals 2. Okay, don't freak out. We have a couple more problems to do together. Okay, that's what we just did together. Does our solution make sense? That 14 days equals 2 weeks? Yes, it does. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to do the same method. I'm going to walk you through this one. So 24 feet equals how many yards? And I want you to think about how are feet and yards related. So there are 3 feet in 1 yard, so 24 times 1/3, which is like saying 24 copies. 24 feet times 1/3 of a foot, because a foot is 1/3 of a yard. So 24 times 1/3. I'm going to draw my line out and then just multiply the top ones together. 24 times 1 is 24, and then just rewrite the 3. So that's the same thing as saying 24 divided by 3. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay. Now I have to think about the second one, quarts and gallons. How are quarts and gallons related? What's my fraction? How many, if I have 1 quart, what is 1 quart worth in gallons? And I would say it's worth 1/4 of a gallon. So that would be 24 quarts times 1/4. Extend this out. 24 times 1 is 24, and then just recopy my 4. So now I have the same thing as 24 divided by 4, and that equals 6. Okay, here's one with converting centimeters to meters. This is where we use that decimal number. Remember, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So I want you to see if you can come up with the equation that would help you solve this problem, and write it on your whiteboard. Pause the video while you do that. Okay, so here's what I came up with, and I'm going to tell you how I came up with this. So remember earlier on the last problem, we rewrote 195 centimeters, and that's the same thing as saying 195 copies of 1 centimeter. 195 copies of 1 centimeter. And I know that 1 centimeter is worth 1/100th of a meter. So I have 195 times 0.01 of a meter. And when I'm multiplying a decimal, all I have to do is just look at my decimal. I have 2 spaces, so that means I'm moving this 2 spaces over. My answer would be 1/95 hundredths of a meter. Okay, you get to try this one. And I gave you all of that information before. So 4,500 grams equals how many kilograms? So I have 4,500 grams is the same thing as 4,500 copies of 1 gram. Those are the same. And I'm rewriting this part here, the 1 gram, as a decimal version. So how many kilograms is 1 gram worth? And there's 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so it's worth 1,000th. So now I just have to solve this conversion and look at my decimal places and move my decimal that number of hops. Since it's over 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and I just got rid of my extra zeros. Okay, you try this one. Pause the video while you work this out and unpause it to check your answer. Okay, here we go. 0.578 of a liter is the correct answer. Okay, this says a container holds 16 cups of juice. Convert the capacity to pints. And I gave you your guide already, your cheat sheet. 2 cups equals 1 pint. So 16 cups is how many pints is my question. That's my problem that I'm trying to solve. How many pints does 16 cups equal? So that's the same thing as saying 16 copies of 1 cup. And now I'm changing my 1 cup into my unit that I want. So I know that there are 2 cups in 1 pint. So 1 cup makes 1 out of 2 cups to equal 1 pint. So 16 times a half. And what do you get when you multiply 16 times 1/2? Or take half of 16, you get 8 pints. Okay, last one. A truck weighs 1,675,280 grams. Convert the weight to kilograms. So start out by writing your problem. What would be the problem? Take the number in your question. This is what you're starting with. And I want to convert it to kilograms. So my problem would look like this. Grams equals how many kilograms? And I don't know yet because I haven't solved it. So you just should have a blank there. Now I'm rewriting and thinking through. This is the same thing as 1,675,280 copies of 1 gram. That's the same thing. And I'm changing grams to my kilograms, my conversion factor. There's 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so that's worth 1,000th. Now when I multiply those, I just have to move my decimal. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And your answer is there we go. Okay, go ahead and get started on your problem set, and if you're feeling really stuck, then just raise your hand and we can work through it together.